Welcome to our Rainbow Workshop series. You guys may be having questions regarding who we are and what we are going to do. So, let me just quickly introduce our initiative. Rainbow Aranya is a community of like minded students just like you and me who would like to learn and grow with one another. Now, how do we do that? How do we actually learn and grow with one another? We at Rainbow Aranya believe that each one of us has a strength, a talent, or a skill which can be multiplied by sharing it with others.
Our team of creative students prepare and present useful workshops based on themes like art, culture, language, communication, music, and dance. Basically, appreciating the rich cultural diversity of India. In doing so, they not only hone their own skills but help to develop those skills in others.
Team Rainbow wishes to form a community of more and more students to get involved, contribute, and make a positive impact in our society. We believe that small steps can make a big difference, especially when many join hands together. And Rainbow is our small step to make a difference.
Today, we are here to present a special interactive session on English poetry recitation. This
Poetry
workshop
recitation helps you to develop memorization skills. Poetry also provides a relaxed and pleasing way to practice your language skills. And last but not the least, poetry recitation helps you to develop your communication skills.
Poetry has a magical way of expression, and recitation is a very powerful tool to deliver what the poet wants to express. Let's discuss the important key aspects of poetry recitation, which we must focus on while reciting a poem. First and most importantly, you should always memorize the poem because when you know the words, you can focus on expressions. Learn the poem well and practice several times. Secondly, the poems need to be full of emotion. So, voice modulation is a critical part of recitation. If part of a poem expresses joy, the happiness should resound in the ear of the audience. Similarly, when an emotional or a sad aspect is being conveyed by the poet, the tone of the speaker should also convey the same.
I agree. Imagine that your recitation is on a podcast where only the sound is available. The modulation of your voice must be able to capture and convey each feeling of the verses. Another important key aspect of poetry recitation is to give pauses. A short pause or a long one helps to keep the expression lingering on and leaves the desired effect. Suppose I say, whose woods these are, I think I know. And then I say, whose woods these are, I think I know. Did you notice how giving a pause at the right places creates an impact?
Let's move to diction and pronunciation. You should never hesitate to check the correct pronunciation of words and take help from Google or YouTube. Remember that teachers and judges appreciate when your pronunciation is crisp and clear. Let me tell you about a word spelled as shone. It is often mispronounced with the O sound, like shun, when the actual correct pronunciation is with an O sound, like Sean. And when you pronounce the words incorrectly, you can lose points on recitation. The next part we come to is the rhyming scheme. Reciting a poem in a sing song way is not appreciated in senior classes. So don't get caught in the rhyme scheme. For example, if I say, he gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake, it sounds artificial and sing song. Instead, you should say, he gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. When you have memorized the poem, you should write the emotion next to the verses and be ready to perform it like a dramatized version of itself. While I was reciting poetry, one thing that really helped was drawing emoticons next to the lines. For example, if there's a line which is conveying a very happy and a joyful tone, then I draw a smiley next to that line.
Another important thing is to emphasize. Some words or emotions from poets carry power. Express them with conviction, like you believe in them, and use mild force. Don't use an aggressive or annoyed tone and never shout to emphasize. For example, in the lines, miles to go before I sleep and miles to go before I sleep, I'm emphasizing on the word miles. Next, we come to speed. Always keep a steady and slow speed to allow each word to be pronounced clearly, but not as slow as a turtle. If you speak fast, you may mix the words and the recitation will not be clear. For example, my little horse must think it care to stop without a farmhouse near between the woods and frozen lake the darkest evening of the year. Now that sounds like a rap, which judges do not like. And now I'll maintain my speed. My little horse must think it clear to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year.
You heard that? This is how you should recite the poems. You need to maintain a calm, composed speed while reciting them. The next thing we come to is selection. You should always select your poems and poets carefully. You should recite poems which convey beauty, hope, and positivity. Like poems about nature or poems about overcoming difficulty. You can even research the poet a little bit to know their style of writing. Lastly, you should always be cautious about your appearance. Many people don't pay attention to this while reciting a poem. You should always present yourself confidently and smartly.
While reciting a poem, connect with the audience. Remain relaxed and comfortable. If you are doing the recitation live, rehearse as much as possible to ensure confidence. In case you forget and stumble, carry on and do not get nervous. Use appropriate body language and gestures if permitted, but do not overdo the gestures as doing actions on each word may appear artificial.
Now, let's use all these key aspects that we have learned right now and recite a poem. How about we refer to Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost?
Yes, that will be perfect, as many of you must be familiar with this poem since it's part of the English textbook in 7th class. Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow.
You heard her. Did you see the way she paused in the first sentence? Whose woods these are, I think I know. Okay, let's move to the next one. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year.
In this verse, each and every word was so clear and well pronounced. Okay, let's move on to the next verse. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake.
The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.
Did you all notice how well this verse was emoted? So you see how we used all these key aspects while reciting the poem? Let's quickly summarize. So we used the key aspect of memorization, voice modulation, pausing for impact, pronunciation, rhyming scheme, emphasis, speed, selection of poem, and appearance. We will now present the poems we recited last year, which were liked by the teachers and judges. What you are about to hear is the poem I recited last year for the Munshi Memorial National Level Recitation Competition, conducted by Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan and was awarded too by the judges. To care for those who always care for us is one of the highest honors. Good morning. My name is Aura Sehdev and I am here to recite the poem Fairs by Javed Akhtar, which reflects upon this circle of life. Clutching his father's finger when a small child went to the fair for the first time. His innocent, bright eyes looked on a new world. What is this? What is that? He asked excitedly. His father, bending low, told him the names of many things, many spectacles, about the jugglers, the daredevils, the conjurers, and what they did. Then they turned towards home. The child rocked in the cradle of his father's arms and rested his head upon his shoulder. The father asked, Are you sleepy?
Lovely recitation. The next one you're about to see is mine. I had participated in the Kusumbama Memorial Festival last year, a prestigious national event hosted by OSA, and got second position and a cash award too.
I spent a year in my cocoon, and then one more. But now I had changed. I allowed myself to be happy. The threads stopped throttling me. I had turned my noose into a necklace. The light shone in my eyes, and I looked up at the skies. Suddenly, my wings unfurled, and I flew high above the world. Up there, I remembered, I couldn't always fly. And I smiled when I realized that my cocoon had surprised me with beautiful wings. What once was a caterpillar started to sing, and I let out a laugh and I started to cry. My cocoon had made me a butterfly. Thank you.
That was lovely. So, just one more thing before we wrap up. Here is a list of some famous poets you can choose from: John Keats, Kwame Alexander, William Wordsworth, Maya Angelou, Sarojini Naidu, and Rabindranath Tagore.
Support and follow us on Instagram at the rate rainbow_Oranya.
Rainbow believes that we can all be a rainbow in someone else's clouds. We sincerely hope that our team is able to spread the spectrum of vibrant colors as wide as possible. Thank you for attending, and we hope to see you soon in the next workshop. Bye, guys.